Antarctica, a land as white as silence, a continent lost beneath layers of ice, like a book whose pages haven't been read in thousands of years. Its surface is like a face hidden beneath a mask, concealing not only time, but truth. For centuries, it remained a blank spot on maps, a symbol of the unknown. But the closer we approach it, the more we understand. It is not empty, it is silent. But silence is not the absence of a voice. Antarctica has a voice. It speaks through ice, through the trembling of magnetic fields, through fragments of old maps, through strange decisions by governments that suddenly declare these lands neutral, as if there's something to hide. This is a place where science and legend meet so closely that the line between them melts, like an iceberg under the light of an uncomfortable question. What if it remembers what we do not know? We embark on a journey not only through geography, but through time, myths, hypotheses, and silent records. We do not claim, we listen. Because perhaps Antarctica is not the end of the map, but its beginning. Antarctica, now covered in kilometers-thick ice, was once entirely different. To understand this, we must set aside the image of merciless cold, snow-white expanses, and stormy winds that erase everything. We must forget the maps that show it as an empty void, and instead imagine a green continent. Imagine trees reaching for the sun, rivers flowing through soft valleys, and life lush, complete, unpredictable. Over 100 million years ago, Antarctica was part of the great supercontinent Gondwana. It was a world before our world, a landmass that included present-day South America, Africa, India, Australia, and Antarctica. This is not a theory, it's a scientific fact, supported by paleontology, geology, and biological evidence. What is now separated by oceans was once one connected land. On this ancient land flourished prehistoric forests, and in Antarctica, beneath the ice, remnants of that time still exist. In 2009, a team of scientists discovered fossilized trees in central Antarctica. Not just fragments or windblown seeds, these were the remains of a forest. Roots, river sediment, layers of dead leaves, a full ecosystem that had existed for millions of years. What's even more remarkable is that these trees had adaptations to periods of darkness, to the cycles of light and shadow that define polar regions. This means it was no accident, it was home. Massive Araucaria trees, human-tall ferns, mosses, lichens carpeting the ground. Alongside them, reptiles, small mammals, perhaps early birds, ancestors of modern penguins, living in a much warmer world. Antarctica was not always a pole of cold. Around 50 million years ago, its climate resembled that of modern New Zealand. Humid, temperate, seasonal, but without severe winters. Offshore drilling and ice core samples confirm that coastal areas once had average temperatures around 10–15 degrees Celsius. Inland cooler, but still habitable. Why does this matter? Because this land, under the right conditions, was livable, but something changed. Continents drifted. Gondwana broke apart. Antarctica slowly moved southward toward the pole. The climate shifted. Over millions of years, the forests vanished. Animals died or migrated. Around 34 million years ago, ice began to form. It grew and thickened, swallowing everything. Now we see only the aftermath, a land buried in ice up to 4 kilometers deep. But here's where it gets interesting. Beneath the ice are not just geological layers. Entire landscapes are preserved. Volcanic features, ancient riverbeds, even structures some of which scientists have described as geometrically anomalous. Are they natural? Perhaps. But it is also possible that they are remnants of something else, something older, something built and buried. And here we step into the realm of hypotheses, but these don't come from nowhere. They're fueled by maps that depict an ice-free Antarctica centuries before it was officially discovered, by sailors' tales of lands teeming with life in the far south. By logic itself, if this land was once warm and habitable, then why not inhabited? We know civilizations have flourished in valleys, coasts, deserts, even mountains. So why do we deny Antarctica the same possibility, just because it's frozen now? But we're speaking of a different time, a different Earth. Imagine a civilization living in forests, building wooden temples, living on stilts. Their traces would not survive millions of years of glacial pressure. Imagine a people with knowledge of climate, of tectonics, of incoming catastrophe. They may have disappeared, merged with others, or left behind something we haven't yet learned to interpret. Something buried under ice, waiting. Antarctica was green. That is fact, not fiction. And that fact forces us to ask uncomfortable questions, and every question is the beginning of a search. Because when a green land turns white, memory vanishes with the color, and only the silence of ice remains, teaching us to listen. Because the answer might already be there, beneath our feet, beneath kilometers of ice, beneath the layers of time. There are artifacts that challenge our understanding of history, not because they look too strange, but because they are too accurate. One of these is the famous Piri Reis map. Created in 1513 by Ottoman admiral and cartographer Ahmed Muhyiddin Piri Reis, it has become the source of numerous debates, mysteries, and theories. Among other things, this map depicts part of the South American coast, the coast of Africa, and, most astonishingly, the eastern coastline of Antarctica. That may not seem strange unless you recall that Antarctica was officially discovered only in 1820. Even more important is the fact that its contours on the Piri Reis map are shown without an ice cover. How is that possible? Piri Reis himself stated that his map was compiled from at least 20 sources, including maps from the time of Alexander the Great, Arabic charts, maps from Columbus, and perhaps even older sources that have not survived. He never claimed originality, only compilation, and it is precisely this compilation that is shocking. The details of the coastline, later confirmed through modern seismic methods, match what is depicted on the 1513 map. We're not talking about approximate outlines, but precise alignment with geological structures that are now hidden under kilometers of ice. How can this be explained? Skeptics, of course, consider it coincidence or misinterpretation, but coincidence cannot explain repeated accuracy. The Orontius Phineas map, made in 1531, also shows Antarctica with detailed internal features that could not have been known to geographers at the time. The Buach map of 1737, the Haji Ahmed map of 1559, even some Chinese sources all hint at the existence of knowledge about this mysterious continent long before its official discovery. The striking similarity among these maps suggests they all shared a common source. But where did it originate? Perhaps it came from a seafaring civilization with global knowledge. They may have studied continents long before it became historically acceptable to believe so. While we don't know what they called themselves, where exactly they lived, or what happened to them, their knowledge left traces. In fragments, in old manuscripts, in copies that survived thanks to Arab and Ottoman scholars. These maps are not merely geographical diagrams, they are memory transfers, encoded records of what was once known and then forgotten. The question remains, how could they have known what Antarctica looked like without ice? This is impossible, without technologies we don't associate with pre-16th century times. Creating a map requires observation, measurement, navigation. Perhaps they used simple yet effective methods, star tracking, complex mechanical tools, knowledge of currents, winds, and the Earth's magnetic field. Or perhaps something more. Another question is, when was the original map created? If we suppose it was made before Antarctica was covered in ice, we are talking about a period more than 10–15 million years ago. An unthinkable notion within conventional history, but one that is constantly reinforced by new data such as the accuracy of the subglacial topography. Beyond geography, these maps share another trait. They portray the world not as divided, but as unified. Each one conveys an understanding of global connectivity, as if created by those who had already seen Earth as a whole. This is a hallmark of a highly developed culture. They didn't merely travel, they knew where they were going. and how continents were linked. If we remove our blinders and stop thinking of ourselves as the first, it all starts to make sense. Antarctica was green, and it was known. It was mapped, and the memory of it survived the glacial cataclysm in fragments that we now see on old parchments and weathered maps. The Piri Reis map is not just a drawing, it is a cry from the depths of time. It is proof that something was, that someone was, and that someone left behind knowledge. Now, it lies before us. We can deny it, or we can begin to listen, because maps don't lie. Interpretations do. World myths are not merely fabrications. They are memories encoded in the form of stories. For thousands of years, people have passed down tales of great catastrophes, sunken lands, lost continents, and times when the world was different. These legends strangely share similar traits regardless of the part of the world they come from. One of the most mysterious images is that of lost lands in the south. Far beyond the oceans, outside the known world, there lay a land remembered but never found. The Greeks called it Terra Australis Incognita, unknown southern land. And although many consider it mere invention, these narratives remarkably fit the picture Antarctica is beginning to reveal today. The ancient Egyptians spoke of Zep Tepi the first time, when gods walked among humans and passed on knowledge. This period ended in a catastrophe after which humanity had to start anew. Interestingly, temple images often depict scenes set among palms, rivers, and mountains completely unlike modern Egypt. Could it be that these descriptions refer to a completely different place? Perhaps a distant continent covered in greenery that later vanished beneath the ice? Some researchers suggest that the memory of Zep Tepi is an echo of an ancient civilization that existed in the south, closer to the polar regions where the climate was once very different. The myths of the Mayans, Incas, and Amazonian peoples also contain references to gods who came from the south. Their boats were made of shining material. They possessed knowledge of astronomy, construction, and time. They were called Viracocha, Quetzalcoatl, Boa. They were not immortal, but they were different. These legends converge on one point: all these beings disappeared, returning to the sea or being swallowed by catastrophe. Some versions speak of a flood, others of heavenly fire, or a long night. The symbolism of cataclysm is the key. It is everywhere. The biblical flood, Plato's Atlantis, the Norse Ragnarok, the Indian story of Manu saved by a boat, all these narratives point to something grand having once happened. And that before this event, there was another reality. Why is this important? Because if Antarctica was once free of ice, habitable, green, and even blooming, then it is quite possible that it was home to a civilization. This civilization could have been the source of many myths, because at the moment of its disappearance, the memory scattered among the peoples who remained. They retold it in their language, their symbols, and the structure of their stories. All these tales do not contradict each other. They are parts of a great mosaic. They testify to knowledge that was not born in a vacuum. It was heritage. Even ancient star maps preserved in temples around the world show the positions of constellations as if the observer was in the southern hemisphere. This contradicts our understanding of the development of astronomy, as it is believed that old world civilizations never crossed the equator. But if we assume the knowledge came from the south, everything becomes logical. An ancient astronomer looking at the sky from Antarctica or its vicinity would see a different sky, a different set of stars. And it is his knowledge that could have been the basis for calendars, myths, and worldviews across the planet. There are also strange architectural coincidences. Stone platforms on Easter Island, mysterious structures in Patagonia, similar symbols in the ornaments of Polynesians and Australian Aboriginals, all these hint at ancient contact. And although this evidence is not direct proof, it creates a context. In this context, Antarctica no longer looks isolated. It is the lost chain link that connected parts of the ancient world. Myths remember more than it seems. Their purpose is to preserve the essence, not necessarily in facts, but in images, rhythms, and cycles. And when we read them through the lens of history, We should not seek literal truth. We must seek structure, essence, because myths are like the voice of ancestors saying, something was. And it was different, and it is worth remembering. Beneath the vast ice cover of Antarctica, which reaches several kilometers in thickness, lie thousands of lakes known as subglacial lakes. These bodies of water have remained untouched and isolated from the outside world for millions of years. Imagine a darkness where sunlight has never penetrated, pressure presses down with the enormous weight of ice, and the water temperature hovers near freezing. This is where one of the largest and most mysterious lakes on the planet is located, Lake Vostok. Research into these lakes opens a door to the past, where science and myth intertwine in a remarkable story. Lake Vostok, hidden beneath 4 kilometers of ice, covers an area of over 12,000 square kilometers and reaches depths of up to 1,000 meters. It has preserved its waters isolated from the outside world for about 15 million years, meaning it may hold unique traces of life untouched by modern processes. But what exactly do these waters conceal? Is there life there? What might it look like? Could it be home to forms of life unlike anything we know? Scientists suggest that the extreme conditions in these lakes could have led to the emergence of unique microorganisms adapted to pressure, cold, and total darkness. These beings might rely on chemical nourishment derived from geological activity on the lakebed, similar to organisms living near hydrothermal vents in the deep ocean. If such microbes truly exist, it would mean life can survive in the harshest conditions, expanding the boundaries of our biological understanding. Beyond the biological aspect, Antarctica's subglacial lakes serve as climate archives. The water, preserved for millions of years, holds information about past climate conditions, atmospheric composition, and geochemical processes. Analyzing samples from these lakes allows scientists to reconstruct Earth's climate history, reveal periods of warming and cooling, and understand the nature of ice sheets and their interaction with the environment. Discoveries of subglacial lakes have been made possible thanks to technological breakthroughs. Modern radar and sensors can penetrate ice thickness, providing detailed maps of these hidden lakes, their size, depth, and shape. Besides Lake Vostok, there are other large lakes such as Odessa, Erebus, and Don Juan, each with unique characteristics. Every new lake discovered offers new opportunities for research, painting a mysterious picture of a hidden world beneath Antarctica's cold and harsh surface. Interestingly, certain anomalies found beneath the ice cover raise speculations about possible ancient structures or traces of living beings. Radar images sometimes show geometric shapes that are uncharacteristic of natural geological formations. Could these be remnants of buildings or settlements of ancient civilizations that existed when Antarctica's climate was much warmer? Myths from many peoples speak of lost lands that sank or were buried beneath ice and snow. Could Antarctica be that lost continent, leaving behind mysteries and traces? Modern science has yet to provide definitive answers, but the complexity and mystery of the subglacial world leave no doubt many discoveries await. With each new study, our understanding of life, climate, and Earth's history evolves. Subglacial lakes are a bridge between past and present, between science and myth, hinting that there are still secrets to be unveiled on our planet. The mysteries of Antarctica's subglacial lakes also hold the potential to radically influence the search for life beyond Earth. If life can exist in such extreme conditions, this expands the possibility of life on other planets and moons with similar environments, for example, Jupiter's and Saturn's moons Europa and Enceladus. This opens new horizons for astrobiology and the search for extraterrestrial life. Antarctica's story is not just one of ice and cold. It is a story hidden in the subglacial waters, which may hold keys to understanding our past and future. The waters of these lakes have been silent for millions of years, but each drop is a page in a great book that science is only beginning to read. Antarctica is the most remote and mysterious continent on our planet, covered by a thick layer of ice that hides not only natural but also historical and cultural secrets beneath it. Modern science recognizes that Antarctica is now a harsh and inhospitable land, but there are many testimonies and theories that suggest this continent may once have been home to ancient civilizations. How and why humanity lost memory of this enigmatic land is something that researchers still strive to uncover. First of all, it is important to recall that geological research proves Antarctica was once part of the supercontinent Gondwana, which included South America, Africa, Australia, and India. At that time, the climate was warmer, and forests grew in the south, flowers bloomed, rivers flowed, and there was abundant animal life. These conditions created favorable circumstances for the emergence of early life forms and possibly the development of proto-cultures or even civilizations. One of the most mysterious topics concerns anomalous artifacts or structures sometimes found beneath the ice or along the coasts. While official archaeology approaches these discoveries cautiously, they continue to arouse interest. In particular, strange stone formations that do not fit typical natural geological processes suggest the possibility of ancient constructions. Radar studies show that beneath the ice there may be rectangular or circular formations resembling ruins in shape and size. Legends of peoples from different parts of the world speak of cities and temples that once existed on the lost southern lands. The myths of the Incas, Maya, Australian Aboriginals, and Amazonian tribes describe great cities submerged under water or ice after catastrophes. These tales show astonishing similarities in detailed descriptions of stone palaces, gold, temples, sacred knowledge, and gods who lived among humans. Scientists who support the idea of ancient civilizations in Antarctica often refer to the theory of humanity's migration. According to this idea, after great disasters, ancient peoples were forced to leave their homes and scatter across the world. They preserved memories of their homeland in myths and symbols passed down through generations. This lost paradise might have been Antarctica, which at that time looked very different and had a much warmer climate. It is also worth mentioning the hypothesis that much ancient knowledge in astronomy, geometry, and construction may have originated in Antarctica. This knowledge, scattered worldwide in the form of enigmatic stone structures such as Stonehenge, the Egyptian pyramids, or the platforms of Easter Island, might have a common source. The lack of clear historical explanations and chronologies allows us to assume that this knowledge belonged to a civilization that existed earlier and lost contact with later cultures. Supporting this idea are unusual archaeological finds, such as artifacts that do not fit the context of known cultural epochs or objects made from materials not found in local geological conditions. These items seem to remind us that the world was much more complex and multifaceted than official scientific theories allow. Modern Antarctic expeditions face many obstacles: harsh weather, geopolitical restrictions, and the inaccessibility of much of the territory. However, it is here that the greatest discoveries await, capable of changing our understanding of human history. Some scientists believe that excavations beneath the ice could shed light on previous epochs and civilizations that disappeared, not simply due to natural catastrophes, but perhaps due to interactions with other civilizations or even epu-based civilizations. Extraterrestrial ones. The symbolism and archetypes found in myths about Antarctica also carry deep meaning. They speak of cycles of destruction and rebirth, loss and restoration of knowledge, and humanity's desire to uncover forgotten mysteries. These motifs can be found across many cultures, indicating a common cultural layer that extends far beyond individual peoples and regions. In light of these ideas, Antarctica ceases to be just a cold continent. It becomes a symbol of lost wisdom, a meeting place of past and future, a key to unraveling the mysteries of our planet and its inhabitants. The search for scientific and mythological traces is a step toward understanding who we are and where we came from. When we think of Antarctica, the image that comes to mind is an endless white desert covered by thick ice. But what if this was once a completely different land, a flourishing continent where a highly advanced civilization existed, a civilization that possessed knowledge that today seems like a miracle or a legend? The mystery of ancient knowledge casts its shadow across the world, but most intriguing is that the traces of this knowledge cannot be ignored. Since ancient times, people have observed the sky, and perhaps nowhere was this more important than on the southern continent, where the stars spoke a completely different language. Ancient astronomical maps found in different parts of the Earth strangely correspond to the sky that could only be seen by inhabitants of the southern hemisphere. These maps are like codes from the past, passed down through centuries, revealing knowledge about cycles of time, seasonal changes, and planetary movements. They seem to say to us, this knowledge came from a place we never expected. Architectural ruins across the world, the mysterious stone platforms of Easter Island, the grand pyramids of Egypt, the enigmatic structures of Patagonia all speak of a common origin. They show us that ancient people knew how to work with stone, understood energy and proportions, allowing them to create astonishing structures that have withstood millennia. Encoded in these structures is knowledge that goes beyond mere engineering. It is the understanding of the connection between humans and the world, the cosmos, and time. The geometry of these temples is no accident. It is a language spoken by light and shadow, the movements of the sun and moon. Yet the real mystery remains. What technologies did these ancient builders possess? Perhaps they harnessed the forces of nature, magnetic fields, the Earth's energy, which we are only beginning to understand today. Legends of fire from the gods and heavenly light may not be mere metaphors, but recollections of real technologies lost along with the civilization. It is impossible to imagine that this knowledge disappeared without a trace. It transformed into myths, symbols, and rituals that have come down to us through the ages. These myths are like ciphers, encrypted messages from ancestors who wanted to pass on their knowledge to future generations, even if they themselves could not survive. Looking at ancient metals and materials that have been preserved also makes one ponder. They testify to a high level of metallurgical and material science knowledge that seems unfathomable for the times when these artifacts were created. These technologies and knowledge could have been the foundation for many legends about gods descending from the sky, mysterious machines, and magical objects. Perhaps they influenced the formation of culture, religion, and science in humanity. Antarctica is not just an icy continent. It is a lost part of human history, a key to understanding where we came from and what knowledge was passed down to us through millennia. The search for this knowledge is a search for ourselves, our place in the world and time. The idea that Antarctica was once home to an advanced civilization may sound fantastic, but the deeper we delve into research, the more facts support this hypothesis. Excavations, archaeological finds, geological studies, and analysis of ancient myths all provide clues about a world we do not yet fully understand. First of all, scientists pay attention to mysterious structures beneath the Antarctic ice. Satellite images and radar scanning reveal shapes resembling ruins of cities, roads, and reservoirs. These traces cannot be simply natural formations. They have clear geometric outlines characteristic of human constructions. Some researchers believe these objects may be remnants of ancient cities preserved by the ice sheet, like a museum of time. Climate change evidence is also important. It is known that millions of years ago, Antarctica was warm, with lush vegetation and rich animal life. The disappearance of this green Antarctica coincided with major geological catastrophes, massive shifts in the Earth's crust, volcanic eruptions, and changes in the planet's orbit. These events could have caused the gradual submersion of the civilization into ice and oblivion. But was this civilization unique? Perhaps there were other, lesser-known cultures that also vanished during global cataclysms. Legends of lost lands, vanished peoples, and mysterious knowledge recur in the myths of various peoples. These stories converge on the idea that worlds very different from our current reality once existed. Archaeology tries to find direct evidence, but ice and time make this extremely difficult. Nevertheless, artifacts have already been found that do not fit into the traditional chronology. Metal objects with unknown alloys, remains of ancient mechanisms, stone tools with unusual geometric forms, All these suggest the existence of technologically advanced cultures. Genetic studies of modern peoples also provide unexpected answers. Some groups possess genes indicating ancient contacts between continents, impossible according to traditional views of migrations. This suggests that humanity in the distant past may have been far more interconnected than we think. Mysteries remain in geology and ice physics anomalies as well. For example, findings of microscopic structures that could not have formed naturally, or areas of ice with unusual properties, which might indicate ancient human intervention or even extraterrestrial forces. These puzzles pose the question, what happened to this civilization? Was it destroyed by natural disasters, or did it retreat, hiding from cataclysms? And did its knowledge survive somewhere in the depths of glaciers, in the symbols of myths, or in our DNA? Perhaps the key to these questions lies in the myths themselves, in how different peoples describe disasters, floods, the long night without the sun, heavenly fire, and the return of gods. These narratives may be encrypted memories of tragic events that destroyed ancient worlds, and at the same time, promises of a new beginning. The search continues, and each new discovery expands the boundaries of our understanding. Although today we can see only drops from the ocean of the past, this drop gives us hope that someday we will learn the whole truth about the lost world beneath the ice, the world where human history began. Antarctica has long inspired people, even though its true nature remained a mystery for a long time. It often became a symbol of the unknown, extremity, challenge, and mystery in the culture, myths, and art of various peoples. Yet few have considered that this continental desert might hide stories that became the basis for the oldest legends and artistic images. Even in antiquity, Terra Australis Incognita, the unknown southern land, was an object of imagination and dreams, a place that held something mysterious and unreachable. Travelers, cartographers, and philosophers invented entire worlds based on this image, depicting it as a land of balance and, at the same time, a threat or challenge to humanity. In the Middle Ages and Renaissance, interest in Antarctica revived with new geographical discoveries and maps that increasingly featured it. Artists created images of icy wastelands, misty shores, and majestic icebergs, which became symbols of mystery and the beauty of untouched nature. In the 20th century, Antarctica became a stage for scientific research and polar expeditions, giving rise to new cultural meanings. Famous writers, artists, and filmmakers used this continent as the setting for their works from science fiction to psychological dramas. Here unfolded stories of survival, struggle against the elements, discovery, and self-discovery. However, behind this outer layer of modern conceptions lies a deeper cultural code, one that stems from ancient myths and legends. The idea of a lost world beneath the ice, of civilizations that lived and vanished here, resonates in many cultural narratives. It awakens in people a sense of mystery and quest, reminding us of our shared history. In music, painting, literature, and cinema, Antarctica has become a metaphor for boundaries between life and death, knowledge and the unknown, the past and the future. It is depicted as a space of trials and transformations where every person can find their own reflection. It is especially interesting to observe how the indigenous peoples of the Southern Hemisphere perceive Antarctica in the context of their myths and worldview. For them, this continent is not only a geographic territory, but also a part of the spiritual space connected with the cosmos, ancestors, and nature. Through this connection, they preserve memories of ancient times when the world was different. In today's world, interest in Antarctica remains relevant. Climate change, ecological challenges, political disputes, and scientific discoveries intensify attention to this region. It becomes a symbol of humanity's responsibility toward nature and history. Thus, Antarctica in culture is not just a place on the map. It is a complex and multi-layered concept that combines history, myth, science, and art. It reminds us of our roots, that knowledge and memory live in the symbols and images we create, and that sometimes the most important discoveries are discoveries of ourselves. Antarctica is not just endless ice and cold. It is a complex system that holds the history of the planet, its climate, and even life. Today, science is making huge strides in understanding this mysterious land, but every new discovery raises even more questions. First of all, the ice of Antarctica is a kind of time capsule. Layers of ice accumulated over hundreds of thousands of years preserve the atmosphere of past epochs. By analyzing air bubbles in ice cores, scientists reconstruct the history of climate, track changes in carbon dioxide concentration, and study natural temperature fluctuations. This helps better understand today's climate change and predict the future. But besides climate, the ice hides other mysteries. Beneath the thick ice, lakes have been found that have remained isolated for millions of years. Lake Vostok, for example, is a real space on Earth where unique forms of life may exist, having evolved in complete darkness and under high pressure. Studying such extreme ecosystems helps imagine the possibilities of life on other planets and in space. The geology of Antarctica continues to surprise. Scientists have discovered traces of ancient volcanoes, mountain ranges, and even remnants of tectonic activity that may have played a role in climate change and the continent's shape. These discoveries give insight into the dynamics of the Earth's crust and possible causes of global catastrophes. The technologies used to study the continent are incredibly complex, from satellite monitoring to sub-ice probes and robotic devices. Yet many mysteries remain unknown, motivating scientists to seek new methods and theories. One of the most intriguing topics is the question of possible traces of ancient civilizations beneath the ice. Radar studies reveal anomalies that might be remnants of buildings or infrastructure. Although this has not yet been confirmed by official science, such facts cannot be ignored. It is important to note that Antarctica is a natural archive that preserves not only natural data, but also the history of life and possibly human civilizations. Understanding this requires a comprehensive approach combining geology, biology, archaeology, and even mythology. This continent is like a giant puzzle that we gradually uncover, and every layer of ice, every icy stone may hide the answer to questions about our past, our origins, and our future. Humanity only approached Antarctica closely in recent centuries. This continent remained the last great land to be explored. The history of the first expeditions is not only a story of courage and discovery, but also a series of mysteries and enigmatic events that remain unsolved to this day. The earliest mentions of the southern continent date back to antiquity, when geographers and travelers imagined Terra Australis as a vast landmass balancing the northern continents. But there were no real contacts with the land, only legends and theoretical maps. The first documented expeditions began in the 18th century, but most were exploratory or commercial in nature, without deep penetration into the continent. The first confirmed landing on the Antarctic shore occurred in 1821. From that time, the true era of polar exploration began. One of the most famous was James Ross's expedition, who discovered a series of glaciers and island chains. A significant discovery was the finding of the magnetic poles, which helped in studying the Earth's magnetosphere. These discoveries were fundamental for the development of navigation and geophysics. At the same time, many expeditions ended in tragedy. Lost ships, diseases, and harsh climatic conditions created an atmosphere of danger and legends. Famous stories about Ernest Shackleton and his crew, who survived after a catastrophe on the ice, became symbols of courage and willpower. However, among official records, mysterious facts appear: reports of unexplained lights, strange objects, and even traces that could not have been left by humans or animals. These stories hovered on the edge of science fiction and folklore, but their accumulation forces a reconsideration of the history of expeditions. In the 20th century, Antarctica became the object not only of scientific research, but also political intrigue and international treaties. The Antarctic Treaty of 1959 changed the continent's status, making it a zone of peace and science. However, questions about past mysteries remain open. Modern expeditions use the latest technologies, and their discoveries continue to surprise the world. Yet even now, reports occasionally emerge of unusual finds that challenge the traditional view of Antarctica's history. This chapter shows that human presence on the continent is not just about journeys and science, but also a search for answers to questions that have troubled humanity for centuries. And perhaps it is in Antarctica that the keys to understanding our history and future are hidden. Antarctica is not just cold and ice, but an incredible world hidden beneath the thick ice sheet. Subglacial lakes, concealed from human eyes for millions of years, have become one of the most fascinating objects of study. They are true time capsules preserving information about Earth's past, climate, and even life that has existed in complete isolation. One of the most famous is Lake Vostok, located beneath 4 kilometers of ice. This vast lake has had no contact with the outside world for about 15 million years. It is so isolated that its study offers the chance to observe ecosystems that have never interacted with other forms of life. Scientists believe that unique microorganisms may live in these lakes, adapted to extreme conditions: total darkness, high pressure, and low temperatures. This opens new horizons for studying the origins of life and its possible forms in space. Researching these lakes requires extremely delicate methods to avoid contamination and preserve the uniqueness of the environment. Modern technologies allow analyzing samples of ice and water without destroying this fragile ecosystem. Besides biological mysteries, subglacial lakes contain valuable information about the continent's geological history. Sediment deposits, chemical composition of water and gases provide insight into processes that occurred millions of years ago: plate tectonics, volcanic activity, and climate changes. These lakes have also become key to understanding global climate changes and the mechanisms of interaction between ice masses and the atmosphere. Today, Antarctic research is not only about uncovering past secrets, but also seeking answers that will help humanity face future climate challenges. Subglacial lakes are silent witnesses of time, holding secrets that could transform our understanding of Earth and life on it. Every drop of water from these depths is part of a great story yet to be revealed. Antarctica is not just the largest icy continent. It is a key to understanding the deep history of the Earth, its climate cycles, and the development of life. Over the past decades, discoveries here have changed not only scientific paradigms, but also our view of possible future scenarios. The past of Antarctica hides traces of a whole world long gone, but preserved in the ice, in myths, and in samples of deep time. From the oldest subglacial lakes to mysterious traces of civilizations, this continent opens doors to the darkest corners of history. Today, Antarctica is a place of international scientific cooperation, where countries unite for a common goal to understand how our planet works. Here, scientists study climate change, glaciology, and the biology of extreme environments, which can help humanity better prepare for global challenges. However, the continent also remains a field for geopolitical interests, tourism, and even disputes over resources. This threatens its unique ecosystem and raises questions about the ethical use of this region. The future of Antarctica depends on how humanity can combine science, nature conservation, and international collaboration. The answers hidden beneath the ice may help fight climate change, discover new forms of life, and reveal the mysteries of our planet. And although many mysteries remain unsolved, each new study brings us closer to understanding the grandeur and uniqueness of Antarctica, a continent that holds the keys to the Earth's past and future. Antarctica is a mirror in which humanity can see itself, its past, its present, and the path ahead. Its icy silence holds stories of ancient civilizations, great cataclysms, and unexplored worlds beneath the ice. It reminds us of the fragility of nature and of our responsibility for the future of the planet. Every new step in exploring this continent reveals new mysteries and pushes us to rethink what we once believed to be unchangeable. Antarctica is not just a place for science, it is a symbol of hope, showing that even in the harshest conditions, life finds a way. Our duty is to protect this unique corner of the Earth, to use knowledge to preserve our planet, and to remember that we are all part of a single great story, a story that continues and one we are still writing. Thank you for watching until the end. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, it really helps the channel grow. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss future videos about the mysteries of our planet. Today, we will dive into a world where stones guard secrets of millennia. We will discover how the enormous pyramids appeared on our planet, mentally touch the mysteries that make scientists puzzle, and seek answers hidden within dark corridors and the starry sky. This is a story about riddles that refuse to be solved and about secrets that could still change our understanding of the world. The pyramids are among the most mysterious and magnificent structures ever created by human civilization. They stand immovable amid deserts, jungles, and mountains for thousands of years, like silent witnesses of the past, guarding unspeakable secrets within. These stone giants are true monuments to human will, craftsmanship, and a mystery that remains unsolved to this day. Despite all the progress in science and technology, despite the efforts of the best archaeologists and historians, the secrets of the pyramids continue to shock and captivate us. How could people without modern machinery lift millions of tons of stone, process them with such impeccable precision, and build structures that have survived millennia in perfect condition? How can we explain their astonishing orientation to the cardinal points, their geometric perfection, their hidden purpose? The grandeur and accuracy of the pyramids challenge our notions of what is possible. They call into question not only the technical abilities of ancient peoples, but also our understanding of history and civilizations. These structures are not just tombs or symbols of power. The pyramids are gateways to the past and perhaps keys to knowledge long forgotten. They seem to speak across the ages, leaving messages for those who can decipher their code. Something mysterious is hidden in their stone walls and dark corridors, something that touches not only history, but cosmic secrets that go beyond our time and space. For centuries, humanity has tried to penetrate the essence of these riddles. Why do the pyramids attract the eyes and hearts of millions? Why do they inspire the search for truth and discoveries that could change our understanding of the world? Could they be symbols of our desire to know the unknown, to lift the veil of time, and to touch the secrets hidden deep within history? Each pyramid is part of a larger mosaic that spans different corners of the Earth. They appeared in various civilizations separated by millennia and thousands of kilometers, but is it a coincidence that they share similar traits? Is there an invisible connection between them, a cosmic code waiting to be deciphered? These are not just structures, they are mysteries that both frighten and lure us simultaneously. In this video, we will embark on a journey into a world where stones hold secrets waiting to be revealed. We will touch upon those mysteries that puzzle scientists and ponder questions that could change our understanding of history and the universe. Are you ready to learn more? Then let's begin. The journey into the grandeur and mystery of the pyramids is just beginning. The pyramids are not just ancient structures. They are true stone giants, standing firm through millennia, silent witnesses of countless generations. They seem frozen in time, eternal guardians holding within themselves stories that humanity is only beginning to piece together. Their grandeur captivates the imagination and makes us wonder how such a perfect structure could be created in an era without modern technology and machines. Every stone, every block, is not just a piece of material, but a witness of time, a bearer of secrets and knowledge. These monuments have survived the harshest trials, natural disasters, wars, human forgetfulness. They were buried under layers of sand, overgrown by jungles, unknown to the world for centuries, yet remained unshakable. The magnitude of their form inspires awe and simultaneously evokes a sense of unease, for they challenge not only our history, but also our understanding of the limits of human capability. Imagine thousands of workers, using primitive tools and without modern machinery, lifting, shaping, and placing massive stone blocks, sometimes weighing tens of tons. Their labor was not merely construction but a ritual, possibly a mystical process that combined skill, faith, and knowledge. And now, looking at these structures, we feel the breath of the past, and the mystery of their creation remains unsolved. The pyramids are not merely material objects. They have become symbols of human ability, eternity, and the quest for knowledge. Their silence speaks louder than any words. They remind us that even after millennia, it is possible to leave a mark that will make future generations ponder and inspire them to seek answers to the most enigmatic questions. Since ancient times, pyramids have captured human imagination, and this fascination has not faded even to this day. They seem like magnets attracting attention, provoking countless questions, and compelling us to seek answers that lie beyond ordinary understanding. Humanity longs not only to know how these structures were built, but to uncover their true purpose, their role in the lives of ancient civilizations, and perhaps in our modern world. This insatiable thirst for knowledge, meaning, and solutions is tied to the fact that pyramids are not mere stone structures but symbols of eternity and mystery. They seem to tell us something greater about the connection between humans and the cosmos, about wisdom that has survived millennia, and about things that transcend our understanding. Every stone and corridor might hold a clue that helps us better comprehend not only the past but ourselves. The history of knowledge associated with pyramids is rich in legends, guesses, and unexpected discoveries. Archaeologists, historians, esotericists, and scientists from various fields all study these enigmatic structures from different perspectives. For some, pyramids are a great mystery. For others, a key to understanding human development. For others still, a mystical object connected with cosmic cycles and secret knowledge. But why do these structures so firmly hold us in their grasp? Why can humanity not look away from their majestic outlines and ceaselessly ask questions? Perhaps the answer lies in human nature itself. We seek to unravel mysteries, to reveal the hidden, to find meaning in a mysterious world. Pyramids are a challenge that urges us to dig deeper, not stop at the surface, to transcend the boundaries of knowledge. In this quest, we uncover not only the secrets of stone and time, but also learn more about ourselves. Pyramids become a mirror reflecting our thirst for discovery, our capacity to dream and create, even under the most challenging conditions. They remind us that history is not only the past, but also a path we continue to carve every day. Pyramids cannot be seen merely as ordinary architectural objects. They are much more than stone constructions. They are symbolic gates through which one can glimpse the deepest mysteries of the past and perhaps other worlds hidden from the human eye. This is why they have attracted researchers, dreamers, and seekers of truth for many centuries. Their shapes, proportions, and locations often surpass ordinary architectural frameworks and seem filled with profound meaning. The geometry of pyramids, which often aligns with astronomical positions of stars and planets, testifies to the knowledge of ancient peoples that goes far beyond simple construction. They are like coded messages that can reveal the worldview, religion, astronomy, and even philosophy of those who built them. Pyramids are doors connecting different dimensions of time and space. They might have been portals to spiritual worlds, places of power, centers of rituals that helped ancient people maintain contact with higher forces or ancestors. This mystical function makes pyramids fascinating not only for archaeologists, but also for esotericists, mystifiers, and mystery seekers. Moreover, pyramids symbolize eternity. Their triangular outline, pointed upward, seems to reach the sky, the stars, and even cosmic worlds. In many cultures, the pyramid shape is associated with the soul's ascent, the transition from the earthly world to higher realms of existence. That is why they are often compared to stairs leading to the heavens. Researchers suggest that pyramids might have served as beacons or antennas that accumulated and transmitted energy. Perhaps the ancients knew about subtle energy flows of the earth and cosmos and skillfully utilized them. This makes pyramids not just mysterious structures but true cities of knowledge and power. Today, Pyramids continue to inspire researchers and ordinary people alike. They are a bridge between the past and the future, a material embodiment of ancient knowledge and a symbolic map leading to new discoveries. The mystery of their origin and purpose is far from solved, and this adds to their unique magic and allure. The Egyptian pyramids are among the most famous and mysterious structures in the world. They impress with their scale, precision, and durability, yet at the same time raise many questions that still lack definitive answers. Could the ancient Egyptians have built such giants using only simple tools and manpower? Do these stone monuments hide knowledge long lost to us? The Grand Pyramid of Khufu, one of the 7 wonders of the world, remains a marvel of engineering art. Its massive size, the weight of the blocks, the precision of their placement, all of this provokes awe and makes one wonder, did ancient building techniques contain secrets that have not reached us? Or perhaps these structures were erected using technologies that modern science is yet unable to explain. There are theories about lost civilizations that may have left behind knowledge that does not fit into traditional history. Perhaps the pyramids are the legacy of these ancient masters who possessed knowledge of astronomy, geometry, and even energy. Some scientists believe that pyramids are not merely tombs but complex systems that functioned as temples, observatories, or even energy generators. Additionally, hidden chambers and corridors revealed by modern technologies add new mysteries. They may indicate the complexity and multi-layered purpose of these structures. Ancient texts and hieroglyphs accompanying the pyramids reveal the religious and cosmological views of the Egyptians, but do not provide the full picture. The mysteries of the Egyptian pyramids are not only puzzles of construction, but a challenge to our understanding of history and human capabilities. They urge us to look at the past anew and question established ideas. The Egyptian pyramids are not just traces of lost knowledge, they are discoveries still waiting for their explorer. The pyramids of Mesoamerica are not just archaeological monuments, they are true messages from civilizations that vanished, leaving behind traces that continue to provoke wonder and astonishment. From Chichen Itza to Teotihuacan, these monumental structures have become symbols of mystery and deep mysticism that envelop the culture of ancient American peoples. These pyramids were built with immense precision and craftsmanship, often aligned with astronomical phenomena. They served not only as religious centers, but also as complex astronomical observatories where ancient priests tracked the movements of the sun, moon, and planets, established calendars, and predicted the future. The mystery of these structures lies in the fact that, despite the lack of modern technologies, the ancient masters of Mesoamerica created pyramids that impress with their construction complexity and profound symbolism. They are echoes of forgotten civilizations that possess knowledge we still strive to decode. Archaeological finds, ancient manuscripts, and legends tell of mythical gods and heroes whose wisdom and power live within these stone giants. Were these cultures simply carriers of unique knowledge, or perhaps part of a global network of ancient civilizations interacting with each other? This question continues to spark interest and stir imagination. The pyramids of Mesoamerica are not only testimonies of the past, but also a key to understanding humanity's cultural heritage. They remind us that our past is far more complex and mysterious than we are accustomed to think, and that every stone can tell a story hidden deep in the folds of time. Pyramids are not unique phenomena of Egypt or Mesoamerica alone. They are scattered all over the world, from South America to Asia, from Africa to Europe. This prompts one to wonder, is it a coincidence that so many ancient cultures built similar structures? Is there some invisible connection between them, lost in time but once understood? The pyramids in Sudan, known as the Nubian pyramids, are smaller in size, but no less mysterious. They have different architectural features than the Egyptian ones, yet their function is also linked to religion and burials. In China, there are pyramid-like structures that still raise questions about their origin and purpose. In Europe, especially the Balkans, archaeologists are discovering structures close in shape to pyramids, but traditionally not associated with cultures known for building such monuments. Do these findings indicate that pyramids were part of a global cultural phenomenon? It is important to note that in many cases the orientation of these structures corresponds to the position of stars or other celestial bodies, adding mystery and hinting at common knowledge among ancient peoples. Perhaps pyramids are symbols of unity and concepts of cosmos, time, and spirituality that connected distant civilizations. This invisible connection between pyramids on different continents continues to amaze and inspire searches, forcing us to question the limits of what we consider historically possible. They are like fragments of a great puzzle leading deep into human memory and ancient mysteries. Looking at the pyramids from a modern perspective, it becomes clear that their construction is an incredible achievement of human engineering. Huge stone blocks, some weighing tens of tons, were precisely processed and assembled into massive structures that have stood for centuries. But the question remains, how did ancient builders accomplish this incredible feat without modern tools, machinery, or technology? Archaeologists and engineers still debate which methods were used. Some believe it was the result of hundreds of years of hard work by thousands of laborers who, using primitive tool swedges, ropes, wheel-smoothed, and positioned giant blocks. Others suggest that complex systems of ramps, terrain roads, and wooden rails were used to ease transportation. There are also more mysterious theories. From using sound and vibrations to split stones to employing some form of anti-gravity or other science fiction-like technologies that left no traces but helped lift heavy blocks tens of meters high. Particular attention is drawn to the perfect processing of stone surfaces. The joints between blocks are so precise that not even a hair can fit between them. This indicates knowledge of geometry, materials, science, and perhaps even methods beyond our understanding. Many believe that pyramid builders were not just workers but true masters who possessed special knowledge and skills, possibly passed down from generation to generation or received from ancient teachers gods, mythical beings, or even extraterrestrials. This mystery of pyramid construction methods remains open, prompting researchers to seek answers in ancient texts, archaeological finds, and modern technologies that allow us to peer into the heart of these stone giants. One of the greatest mysteries of the pyramids is the very stone blocks from which they are built. Huge, sometimes weighing several tens of tons. These stones are not simply stacked. They are perfectly processed, polished, and assembled so tightly that the joints between them are almost invisible. How did ancient masters achieve such precision without modern tools? In the Egyptian pyramids, for example, limestone and granite blocks have surfaces so even not even a knife blade can fit between them. This is astonishing, because achieving such precision requires not only engineering skills but also an understanding of material properties, polishing methods, and possibly special technologies that we have lost or do not know today. This perfect fitting was not accidental, it had practical significance. Such joints make the structure more durable and resistant to earthquakes and time. At the same time, it demonstrates the extraordinary skill and knowledge possessed by ancient builders. Another mystery is how these giant stone blocks were transported to the construction sites. Many blocks weighed over 20 tons, raising questions about transportation methods. Were wooden sledges, rollers, rope systems, water, or even technologies unknown to us used? Perhaps there were specialized workshops where stones were prepared and shaped to the required sizes, then delivered using complex logistical solutions. This points to an organized work of a huge number of people working in harmony. The mystery of the stone blocks of the pyramids reminds us that ancient civilizations possessed incredible knowledge and that our perception of their capabilities needs reconsideration. One of the most impressive mysteries surrounding pyramid construction is how ancient people lifted and installed incredibly heavy stone blocks at great heights. Blocks weighing tens of tons had to be raised tens, sometimes hundreds of meters. Given the absence of modern machinery, this arouses genuine amazement and many assumptions. One theory is the use of systems of inclined ramps or stairs, along which workers pulled the blocks upwards. However, Researchers often point out that for some stages, such constructions would have been too complicated, considering the weight and size of the stones. Moreover, there are still no clear traces or remains of these ramps in sufficient quantities to fully confirm this theory. Some scientists suggest that lubricants, water, or certain materials reducing friction were used to ease lifting. For example, ancient Egyptians might have wetted the sand before moving the blocks, reducing resistance and making them easier to move. There are also more mysterious and speculative versions, the use of unknown forces, magnetic or gravitational, as well as assumptions about using sound vibrations to help lift the stones, making them lighter or more mobile. These ideas, though not scientifically confirmed, add mystique around the pyramids. It is important that pyramids do not just stand, they have withstood centuries despite earthquakes, climate change, and time. This indicates that the methods used to build them were not only effective but also reliable. The mystery of lifting heavy blocks is another example of how much we still do not know about the technical capabilities and knowledge of ancient civilizations and how complex and multifaceted this process was. Pyramids have long ceased to be mere architectural monuments. They have become symbols of mysteries that challenge our notions of what is possible. The construction of these structures does not fit within traditional frameworks of history and technology, forcing researchers to reconsider knowledge about the technologies, societies, and cultures of ancient civilizations. One of the greatest mysteries is the precision of geometric proportions. Massive structures have ratios corresponding to well-known mathematical constants such as pi, or the golden ratio. How and why did ancient peoples possess this knowledge? Is it coincidence, or were they bearers of profound cosmic secrets? Another astonishing fact is the orientation of the pyramids along the cardinal points with exceptional accuracy. For example, the Great Pyramid of Giza is aligned almost exactly with the horizon's cardinal directions with a deviation of less than 1/10 of a degree. This cannot be explained by chance or primitive measurement methods. The mysteries of the pyramids challenge many established notions. Could these structures have been astronomical observatories, temples of knowledge, or even portals to other worlds? Do they conceal knowledge about the universe that surpasses our modern understanding? All this leads to the thought that pyramids are not merely stone constructions, but keys to unraveling ancient civilizations and perhaps the cosmos itself. Pyramids are often compared to a kind of cosmic code, encrypted in stone, that may reveal deeper secrets of the universe. It has long been noticed that the location of some pyramids and their geometry correspond with celestial bodies and astronomical phenomena. The Great Pyramid of Giza, for example, is often associated with the Orion constellation, a vast field for various interpretations. The stars of Orion's belt were linked in ancient cultures with gods, creative forces, and their position in the sky was considered a kind of cosmic blueprint for construction. The alignment of the pyramids to Orion might not be a coincidence, but part of a profound system of knowledge. Additionally, the orientation of the pyramids by the cardinal points and their dimensions may contain encoded information about planetary movements, cycles of time, and even cosmic coordinates. This leads to the assumption that pyramids were not merely tombs or temples, but a kind of cosmic beacons carrying messages to future generations. In this context, it is important to wonder whether ancient civilizations had the capability to observe the cosmos with such precision, or whether they received this knowledge from some higher or even extraterrestrial force. And do pyramids perhaps hold the key to understanding the interaction between humans and the universe? One of the most fascinating mysteries of the pyramids is their precise orientation by stars and planets, as if messages from the depths of the past. Research shows that the pyramids were not placed randomly. They are carefully aligned with astronomical cycles, star constellations, and the movement of planets. This opens the possibility that their builders possessed complex astronomical knowledge that today seems almost unbelievable. The Great Pyramid of Giza is oriented almost exactly to the north, south, east, and west directions with an accuracy of less than 1/10 of a degree. Even more mysterious is the connection of the pyramids with constellations, especially Orion and Ursa Major. Ancient civilizations considered stars not merely celestial bodies, but divine forces governing life and fate. This astronomical knowledge could have been not only practical for calendars or navigation, but also symbolic, carrying sacred wisdom associated with the cyclical nature of time, birth, and rebirth. That is why the pyramids could have served not only as burial sites or temples, but also as unique cosmic clocks, measuring time and transmitting messages through generations. It seems these messages were encoded to preserve knowledge during the darkest times for future generations capable of deciphering this ancient cosmic alphabet. And this is what makes the pyramids so eternal and mysterious. The geometry of the pyramids is not just the craftsmanship of stonemasons, but a complex system of symbols and codes that can open doors to the deepest mysteries of the universe. Seemingly simple shapes, a triangle, square, pyramid, hide much more than just a building's form. They reflect universal laws of harmony, proportion, and balance that permeate all of nature. The Great Pyramid of Giza possesses ratios corresponding not only to the number pi, but also to the golden ratio, a magical number found in nature, music, architecture, and even human anatomy. Thanks to these proportions, the pyramid seems not just a monument, but a living organism with internal harmony and a connection to the cosmos. Moreover, the angles of the pyramid's faces often coincide with important astronomical angles, such as the Earth's axial tilt, creating a correspondence between earthly and cosmic dimensions. Perhaps this geometry was designed as a language understandable not only to the human mind but to the very laws of nature. The geometry of the pyramids is also a key to understanding their energetic properties. Some researchers claim that the pyramid shape can concentrate energy, cleanse space, and influence the human biofield. Could the ancients have known about these properties? If so, the pyramids were not only architectural wonders but true energy centers, linking the material world with the spiritual. This geometry takes us beyond ordinary understanding, opening doors to universal mysteries that are yet to be solved. The pyramids have long fascinated researchers not only with their grandeur but also with the mystery of their inner spaces, dark corridors, and hidden chambers that seem to guard the secrets of bygone eras. Over centuries, archaeologists have uncovered new rooms inside these stone giants, yet the more discoveries are made, the more mysteries arise. It is known that the Great Pyramid of Giza contains a complex system of corridors and chambers, which would have been difficult to create without extraordinary precision and engineering knowledge. However, some of these chambers remain unexplored, unreachable due to narrow passages or unknown mechanisms. This has led to numerous theories about their purpose, from storage or ritual functions to repositories of secret knowledge or even technology. Modern technologies such as radar scanning and 3D modeling allow researchers to penetrate the depths of the pyramids without damaging the structures. Sometimes these investigations reveal previously unknown voids, enhancing the intrigue. What secrets might be hidden behind those stone walls? Are there treasures, knowledge, or messages from ancient masters? The mysterious corridors of the pyramids resemble labyrinths where every turn can change our understanding of human history. They silently wait for someone brave enough to open their doors and unravel the secrets kept in darkness. The pyramids are not just stone structures. They are symbols hiding secrets of the depths of time and space. What exactly they conceal is a question that continues to perplex scientists, historians, and mystery seekers worldwide. Could they be gateways to another dimension, portals for communication with the unknown, or repositories of knowledge beyond modern comprehension? Some researchers suggest that pyramids have internal structures or energy flows interacting with the Earth and cosmos. These energy connections might create fields capable of influencing human consciousness, altering space-time parameters, or storing information inaccessible by ordinary means. Moreover, mysterious symbols, signs, and drawings found inside the pyramids are difficult to explain by traditional archaeology. They might be the key to understanding ancient technologies or spiritual practices long lost. Perhaps these inscriptions tell of contact with extraterrestrial civilizations or knowledge passed down through generations. Pyramids are also associated with the concept of eternity and immortality. Mummies and rituals accompanying the construction of these structures testify to the ancient desire to overcome time and preserve the self in the vast expanses of history. This makes the pyramids not just monuments of the past, but bridges between worlds, the visible and invisible, the material and spiritual. The pyramids are not just stone giants, but also repositories of astonishing artifacts and mysteries linked to mummies, symbols, and technologies that still amaze and raise questions. Mummies found within the pyramids testify not only to burial rituals, but also reveal secrets of ancient methods of conservation and body preservation that modern science cannot always explain. Particularly fascinating are the symbols carved on walls and objects surrounding the mummies. These may not be mere religious signs, but encrypted messages, codes of knowledge requiring special understanding and keys to decipher. These symbols might reveal ancient knowledge about the cosmos, medicine, and energy long forgotten or hidden. Even more impressive are the technologies used in pyramid construction and stone processing. How could people of that era process such enormous and heavy blocks with such precision? What tools and methods help them lift these gigantic stones and assemble them into perfect shapes? Theories exist about the use of unknown energy or sound technologies that could alter the stone's structure or even levitate heavy blocks. These mysteries of mummies, symbols, and technologies open before us a wondrous world of ancient masters whose level of knowledge and skill remains an enigma for modern civilization. The pyramids not only inspire awe with their architectural grandeur, but are also surrounded by countless myths and legends that create an atmosphere of mystery and mysticism. From ancient Egypt to the present day, these stone structures have given rise to stories about divine origins, magical powers, and mysterious events that defy logical explanation. Some legends tell that the pyramids were built by gods or their emissaries, which is why they possess supernatural properties. Others suggest these structures are portals between the world of the living and the dead, where souls can cross the boundary and return. There are also theories that the pyramids are giant machines or energy installations created to control natural forces or even time. The alternative reality of the pyramids includes assumptions about contact with extraterrestrial civilizations. This idea is based on the incomprehensible construction technology that seems impossible for the people of that era. Supporters of this theory point to mysterious symbols that might be alien messages or the astronomical alignment of the pyramids, allegedly demonstrating cosmic knowledge unattainable without external help. These myths and legends, while lacking definitive proof, enhance the magnetism of the pyramids and add a special charm that keeps humanity from forgetting these ancient monuments. They open doors to a world of fantasy and mysteries where the line between reality and fiction is often blurred. One of the most mysterious topics related to the pyramids is the question of their origin and who really stood behind their creation. Traditional history attributes the construction of the pyramids to ancient civilizations, particularly the Egyptians and the peoples of Mesoamerica. But there are alternative theories suggesting that not only humans were involved. The idea that ancient gods, or even extraterrestrials from other worlds, intervened in the building of the pyramids has a long history. Many myths from different cultures tell of celestial beings who came from the sky, imparting knowledge and technologies inaccessible to the science of their time. Pyramids are viewed as the legacy of these beings, their machines, temples, or stations, part of their mission on Earth. Some researchers point out that the technological level required to build such structures does not correspond to the development of humanity at that time. The architecture, precision of stonework, astronomical alignment all seem to indicate interference by a smarter, more advanced force. However, even if this assumption is not scientifically confirmed, it fuels our imagination about the mysteries of the past and raises new questions. What exactly do we not know? And are humans really the sole creators of these stone giants? The pyramids truly challenge science and our understanding of what is possible. For centuries, they have sparked theories that seem incredible but still have supporters within both the scientific and alternative communities. These theories question widely accepted ideas about history, technology, and human development. One of the most famous hypotheses suggests that the pyramids were not just tombs but part of complex energy systems. According to this idea, they could accumulate and transmit energy, possibly in the form of sound or electromagnetic fields. Some even speculate that they functioned as giant transmitters or resonators capable of influencing the surrounding environment or altering human consciousness. Another theory talks about hidden chambers in the pyramids that remain undiscovered, potentially storing unknown artifacts or knowledge that could radically change our understanding of history. Modern technologies such as radar scanning and 3D modeling constantly reveal new details that challenge traditional beliefs. Yet another bold idea is that the pyramids might have been used as some kind of time machines, tools for traveling through time or between dimensions. Although science cannot yet confirm these claims, they inspire researchers and writers alike, forcing us to reconsider the limits of human knowledge and capability. While many scientists remain skeptical, these theories sustain interest in the pyramids and remind us that many mysteries still await their unraveling. Modern technologies are opening new horizons in the study of pyramids, and every new discovery raises more questions than answers. The use of radars, 3D scanners, and other advanced methods allows us to peer inside these ancient structures without damaging their integrity, revealing previously unknown corridors, chambers, and voids. For example, hidden spaces were discovered within the Great Pyramid of Giza, which remained unknown for a long time. Researchers still cannot determine their exact purpose and function. Were they storage rooms, repositories of mysterious knowledge, or something entirely different? These questions remain open, spawning numerous theories and assumptions. Moreover, new studies emphasize the complexity of the geometry and astronomical alignments that continue to puzzle scientists. The precise placement of pyramids in relation to stars, planets, and even Earth's magnetic poles speaks of a profound cosmic understanding, impressive in its thoughtfulness and complexity. At the same time, many aspects remain unclear. Stone processing technologies, methods of transporting massive blocks, details of internal mechanisms. Each discovery brings new questions, only enhancing the magical mystery of the pyramids. Pyramids have never been just stone structures for humanity. They have become symbols of eternity, wisdom, and the pursuit of deep knowledge. The grandeur of their shape, the austerity of their lines, and incredible precision reflect the ancient civilization's desire to leave their mark in time, to create something that will survive centuries and even millennia. Their form is no accident. The pyramid symbolizes the ascent from the earthly to the divine, from the physical to the spiritual. It embodies the soul's journey upwards, striving for light and truth. In various cultures, pyramids served as bridges between the world of the living and the world of ancestors, places of encounter with the divine. Pyramids also represent great power and knowledge that united communities. They required the pooling of resources, people, and skills to be built. They symbolize collective will and the art that creates harmony between humanity and nature. Even today, pyramids attract the gaze and hearts of millions, inspiring quests, reflections, and discoveries. They remain a powerful reminder that truth and eternity are values humanity has always sought, regardless of time and culture. Pyramids hold an irresistible magnetism that draws millions of people from around the world. They are a symbol of a mystery that humanity strives to unravel. Everyone who stands before these massive structures feels a wave of awe that connects the past and the present, a sense of mystery living in the stone. This magnetism is not only in their architecture, but also in what pyramids symbolize: the human desire for immortality, understanding the world, and the search for the meaning of life. They are like a challenge thrown to time, forcing us to reflect on our place in the grand history. Moreover, pyramids are surrounded by numerous legends, mystical stories, and scientific puzzles that keep interest alive. People have always sought answers in them to questions that seem beyond everyday reality. How and why were they built? Who stood behind it? What their secret chambers hide? Because of their grandeur, history, and mystery, pyramids remain a source of inspiration, exploration, and dreams. They call each of us to look into the past and try to uncover what has been hidden for centuries. Despite centuries of research, the pyramids still hold many mysteries awaiting their solver. Their hidden chambers, ancient symbols, and astonishing construction precision all open doors to a world full of secrets and the unknown. Every day, scientists uncover new facts that make us see history in a new light. But each discovery raises even more questions. Who really built the pyramids? Did they use forgotten technologies or knowledge beyond our understanding? Do the pyramids hide answers to the mysteries of the universe? And although many theories remain controversial, it is precisely these unknowns that keep us fascinated and eager to learn more. Pyramids are not just stones. They are keys to the past, doors to mysterious worlds waiting to be opened. Perhaps future research will reveal a truth that will change our understanding of our origin and purpose. But for now, the mysteries of the pyramids remain one of the most enigmatic chapters in human history. Thank you for watching until the end. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. It really helps the channel grow. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss future videos about the mysteries of our planet. Look at Earth. From high above, from where there are no borders, no languages, no religions. Just a sphere blue, alive, dynamic. It spins in the vacuum of space, unceasingly. For billions of years, without witnesses, without cameras, without memory, we like to think we are the main characters on this stage, that life began with us, that we are the culmination. We see ourselves as the peak of evolution, the first to build cities, to bring light into the darkness of ignorance, to start counting the stars. But is that true? Can we say with full certainty, yes, we are the first? The Earth is older than imagination. It is over 4.5 billion years old. This is not just a number. It's an ocean of time, in which our history is not even a drop. If we condensed Earth's history into a single calendar year, humanity would appear on the 31st of December, near 11:59 p.m. And everything we call civilization, our cities, writing, technology, it lasts only the last few seconds. Try to grasp that scale. Mountains have risen and fallen. Continents drifted, collided, broke, and created new lands. Oceans came and went. Life emerged and perished millions of times. And somewhere in this deep memory of the planet, there may have already been civilizations. Not ours, not in our history, stories not recorded in textbooks. We're used to seeing history as linear, from caves to pyramids, from bronze to computers. But maybe it's not a line, maybe it's a circle, and we are just another turn of the wheel, not the first. Maybe not the last. How do we know we're the first? That's what we were taught in school. But let's think, how much do we really know about the past? How much of what we perceive as history is just assumption? Theories built on fragments, shards, scattered mentions. We call something a civilization only if it left behind stone, metal, writing. But civilization is not just architecture. It's ideas, worldview, consciousness, and all of that can vanish quickly. What would be left of us in 10,000 years? Imagine a disaster, a global war, a pandemic, climate change, an asteroid, or even just the loss of electricity. What remains after a century, 2, 1,000 years? Plastic? Ruins overgrown with moss? And in 10,000 years? In 100,000? The tallest skyscrapers will collapse. Civilization will fade. And after 200,000 years, geological processes will erase even the outlines of our cities. Then who will say we ever existed? History is not what happened. History is what remains. And that's why we know so little. We're used to statements. The first cities appeared 6,000 years ago. The first writing in Sumer. The first pyramids in Egypt. But why then do we find structures older than the pyramids? Why are there maps showing Antarctica without ice? Why do myths from cultures around the world mention a great flood, even those who never had contact with each other? Why did the Sumerians say that knowledge was given to them by gods who descended from the sky? Why did the Maya know about precession, a phenomenon difficult to detect even with telescopes? Why do Indian temples describe flying chariots and weapons like suns burning entire cities? Maybe we underestimate legends. Maybe we take history too literally, and forgot that everything important was once passed through allegories, metaphors. Suppose for a moment, what if 20, 50, 100,000 years ago there was a civilization, not like ours, perhaps not even human as we define it? What if it too developed from primitive to complex? What if it too created language, science, culture, and then vanished? Not because it was lesser, but because that's how nature works. Civilizations are like waves on water. They rise and fade. We only see what time lets us. The older something is, the harder it is to find. Most materials decompose. Even stone isn't eternal. And nature knows how to hide traces better than any human conspiracy. There are places that raise questions. Göbekli Tepe, Turkey; Yonaguni, Japan; Baalbek, Lebanon; sunken cities near India, Cuba, the Caribbean. We can't say exactly who built them, but we do know they predate what official history allows. Could they be the remains of another civilization? Possibly. And if even one of these traces is real, it already means that human history is deeper than we thought. Now look at us. We live in a world where artificial intelligence processes language, where we explore DNA, launch into space, alter the climate. Yet despite all this, we cannot say with certainty what happened 10,000 years ago. We are smart, but very vulnerable. One global catastrophe and everything we know turns to legend. So before we go further, I invite you to pause, to forget for a moment everything we know, and simply ask, what if we are not the first? What if Earth has already seen civilizations? What if history is not a staircase, but a cycle, and we just another turn? The history we learn in schools and universities has a clear structure. It is divided into epochs, centuries, civilizations. It is based on archaeological discoveries, written sources, cultural monuments. It tells us about the development of humanity from primitive tribes to the modern globalized civilization. Everything appears logical, gradual, comprehensible. We start with hunter-gatherers who transition to a settled lifestyle, invent agriculture, build the first villages. Then the first cities emerge in Mesopotamia, the first laws, the first writing. This is the beginning of what is called civilized history. After that, Egypt, India, China, the Maya. Then Greece, Rome, the Middle Ages, the Renaissance, the Industrial Revolution, and fine all your time. This is the official line. It is presented as indisputable. It is supported by artifacts dated using scientific methods. It is upheld by most historians, archaeologists, academic institutions. But even within this official framework, there are many blank spots, contradictions, and strange cases. First of all, the timeline. If we trust the official version, civilization in the sense of cities, writing, organized society, did not appear earlier than 6,000 years ago. Before that, the Stone Age. People lived in tribes, had no states, built no complex structures. But what then do we make of places like Göbekli Tepe, dated to 11,000 BCE? It's a complex of stone structures, massive, precisely carved, with intricate engravings and stellar orientation. According to official history, at that time people had no cities, no metal, no organized religion, and yet they were building megalithic structures. This contradicts the commonly accepted sequence, first agriculture, then cities, then temples, but Göbekli Tepe suggests the opposite. Perhaps religion, myth, belief were the driving force of civilization, not its result. Next, the emergence of writing. It is believed that the earliest writing was Sumerian, around 3200 BCE. But there are reports of older symbols found in various parts of the world in Vinca, Europe, the Indus Valley, China. We don't understand their meaning, so we don't recognize them as writing, but perhaps we simply cannot read them. The entire official history is based on fragments. Everything we know about ancient cultures comes from remnants, shards, ruins, stelae, and we piece together a picture from them, like an archaeologist completing a puzzle with only 5% of the pieces. We assume those pieces represent the whole, but that is merely an assumption. Another aspect, the appearance of knowledge. For example, the Sumerians already knew that the Earth was a sphere, that it orbited the sun. They had precise astronomical tables. Their calendar was more accurate than the Julian. But how? Who gave them that knowledge? They themselves wrote that they received it from gods, that these gods came down from the sky, taught them to count, to build, to heal. We interpret this as myth, allegory. But what if it is a recollection of something real, of a lost civilization that once possessed such knowledge and passed it on to later peoples? Egypt, the pyramids, massive structures built with centimeter-level precision, oriented to the constellations, with geometry difficult to replicate even today. We're told they were built by simple farmers with ropes, wooden rollers, and copper tools. But no modern attempt has successfully recreated such structures with those methods. Moreover, the pyramids appear to have stood there even before Egypt's classical civilization flourished. The Egyptians themselves didn't say they built them. They wrote that they inherited knowledge from the ancestors, and there are dozens of such examples. Cultures all over the planet speak of a golden age, a great cataclysm, ancestors from the sky, and all of them isolated from one another. Yet they tell the same story. Official history cannot explain this. It ignores or suppresses such cases, because its structure is linear, logical, controlled. When a fact arises that does not fit it is called an exception. When too many exceptions appear, the theory is not revised, only adjusted. But how many exceptions are needed to realize maybe our history is not what we think? It's time to look at an alternative version, a version where we are not the beginning, but a continuation. Not the first, but the next, where there were those who lived before us and left traces. We ignore them, but they are there. Across the world, objects are found that shouldn't exist. They don't fit the timeline, contradict accepted views of technological development, and have no logical explanation within official history. These are called anomalous artifacts. They're absent from textbooks, rarely discussed in academic circles, but they exist, and each one is like a crack in the official version of our past. One of the most well-known examples is an iron nail found inside a block of stone in Scotland. The stone in which it was discovered formed millions of years ago. According to all scientific understanding, humanity didn't exist back then, let alone metalworking. Yet the nail was there. How did it get inside? Coincidence? A hoax? But it's not an isolated case. Similar objects have been found elsewhere, metallic spheres with perfect symmetry embedded in rock hundreds of millions of years old. Some have grooves around their axis, as if they were made on a lathe. Another example, the Antikythera mechanism. Found in the sea off the coast of Greece, it was part of a ship's cargo that sank around the 1st century BCE. It's a complex system of bronze gears that, according to modern studies, functioned as an astronomical computer. It could track planetary movements, moon phases, and predict eclipses. Such mechanical precision wasn't achieved again until centuries later. Its existence in ancient Greece contradicts everything we know about classical technology. If this object were found in a modern museum, it would be labeled a contemporary creation. But it's real, and its origin is a mystery. Similar mysteries exist in the Americas. For instance, the Nazca lines in peromassive geoglyphs visible only from high altitude, hundreds of meters long, depicting animals, figures, abstract shapes. How could ancient people create them without flight, without seeing the whole image from the sky? Even more puzzling is that many of the lines form geometrically perfect shaped straight lines, parallels, equilateral triangles. Achieving such precision is difficult even today. In Egypt, there are signs of stonework that resemble the marks left by modern tools. Holes in granite show uniform spiral scoring, as if made by a high-speed drill. There are basalt blocks with surfaces so smooth they seem laser-cut. In Peru, Bolivia, and Lebanon, There are megaliths weighing hundreds of tons, transported and placed with such precision that not even a knife blade fits between them. These structures are astonishing not just for their size, but for the construction methods which we still cannot fully replicate today. We can only move such blocks using our most powerful cranes. But how was it done thousands of years ago? Some artifacts defy the very concept of ancient technology. For example, small figurines found in Colombia that resemble modern airplanes, or ancient maps like the Piri Reis map, which shows Antarctica without its ice cover in the form it had tens of thousands of years ago. Who could have had such knowledge? All of this makes us think. Either our ancestors were far more advanced than we believe, or this knowledge and these technologies didn't originate from them. Perhaps they were inherited from another civilization known that existed before ours. A civilization with a high level of science, engineering, and astronomy. And after it disappeared, only fragments remained left behind by chance for us to find. Outliers that history cannot explain. And that change everything. All the peoples of the world have myths. These were passed down through generations long before writing ever existed. They're often dismissed as fiction, allegory, cultural fairy tales. But if we look more closely, many of these stories share the same essence. Regardless of continent, era, or language, they speak of one thing. A long time ago, another civilization existed on Earth. Powerful, advanced, magnificent. It built great cities, possessed extraordinary knowledge, lived in harmony, conversely, lost balance, and was destroyed. What remains are fragments, names, echoes preserved in legend. The most famous example is Atlantis. Described by Plato in his dialogues Timaeus and Critias, he spoke of a powerful maritime empire that existed 9,000 years before his time around 11,000 years ago. Atlantis possessed advanced technologies, stunning architecture, and influence over other peoples. But through pride and spiritual decay, it was destroyed by fire and water in a single night. This story is often labeled a myth, but why would Plato, a philosopher and thinker, invent such a tale? He claimed to have received the information from Egyptian priests who preserved ancient records. Other cultures have similar stories. In Mesopotamia, there's the myth of Eridu, the first city founded by the gods, which became a center of wisdom before being destroyed in a great flood. In the Maya myths, there are several suns eras, each ending in catastrophe, after which the world begins anew. In Hinduism, there is the concept of yugas, cycles of time. According to these, humanity has risen and fallen many times, reaching peaks of advancement before perishing in fire, water, or greed. We now live in the Kali Yugathe final, dark age. Polynesians tell of sunken lands where their ancestors once lived. The Hopi of North America have stories of previous worlds, the first destroyed by fire, the second by ice, the third by flood. We now live in the fourth, and everywhere, the same theme appears. There were others before us, wise, strong, but brought down by their own errors. Even the Bible hints at this. Before the flood, the world was different. The sons of God came unto the daughters of men. There were giants on the earth. Man's heart was corrupt. Then came the flood and wiped away all living things. Noah survived. And humanity began again. This isn't just a moral tale. It's a memory of the loss of an entire world. These stories couldn't have emerged by coincidence. They are too similar, even though they came from different corners of the planet at different times. They preserve a collective human memory. A memory of something that truly happened but doesn't fit into our current understanding of history. Maybe they're not myths at all, but memories. Distorted by time, cloaked in symbolism, yet real in essence. Ancient texts often mention gods who possess knowledge, flew into the sky, built enormous structures, created humanity. In Sumerian tablets, they're called the Anunnaki, in India Devas and Asuras. In South America, Viracocha, who came from the sea and taught the people. They all share similar traits: tall, light-skinned, bearded, wearing unusual garments. And everywhere, they appear after a catastrophe, as teachers, as bearers of knowledge that did not belong to ordinary people. These testimonies change everything. If we begin to treat myths as sources of truth, even symbolic truth, a completely different history of humanity unfolds before us. A history in which we are not the beginning, but the result. A history where civilization is not a single line of progress, but a wave that rises and falls, leaving behind fragments. And if we fail to understand this, we are doomed to repeat the path of those who came before us. If we are truly not the first civilization on this planet, then there must be evidence. Cities, structures, roads, perhaps even machines. But if such a civilization existed thousands or even tens of thousands of years ago, why don't we see it in museums? Why isn't it in our textbooks? Part of the answer lies in the water, literally. Over 70% of the Earth's surface is covered by oceans. During the last ice age, global sea levels were about 120 meters lower. This means that thousands of square kilometers of coastal land where humans have always preferred to live are now underwater. If an ancient civilization existed before the end of the Ice Age, its remains could have been completely submerged by the rising seas. One of the most well-known discoveries is Yonaguni, Japan, an underwater structure off the coast of the Ryukyu Islands. It features flat platforms, stair-like formations, right angles, massive terraces that resemble architecture. At first glance, it looks natural. But its symmetry, proportions, and orientation suggest a possible artificial origin. Some researchers believe it is the remains of a city submerged around 10,000 years ago. Mainstream science is skeptical because it challenges the accepted timeline, but the structure exists, and it's not alone. Near India, in the Gulf of Combat, traces of an ancient city have been found underwater. Straight roads, building foundations, artifacts. Radiocarbon dating of recovered items has shown ages over 9,000 years. If accurate, this would be one of the oldest cities ever discovered. Yet most scholars reject these results. It's simply too inconvenient. Underwater ruins have been found near Cuba, the Bahamas, the Mediterranean, and the Black Sea, all at depths where dry land once existed thousands of years ago. This isn't a coincidence. It's a global pattern. Traces of civilization not on land, but beneath the waves, hidden, unstudied, quietly set aside. Aside from water, there is another way to conceal the past, erase it, or at least prevent it from becoming part of official history. In many countries, artifacts that don't fit the academic narrative are simply ignored or stored away in archives. Museums have unclassified, collection subjects kept without context. Some researchers claim entire expeditions have been funded to hide or reclassify discoveries. Sometimes, erasure was literal. During the conquest of the Americas, the Spanish destroyed most of the Mayan codices. In Egypt, artifacts that contradicted the dynastic timeline were removed. How much was lost in medieval fires, inquisitions, revolutions? Every war isn't just a loss of lives, it's a loss of knowledge. Libraries, texts, manuscripts, stone tablets all burned, smashed, vanished. And yet, something remains, imperfect but compelling. Stones carved in ways unexplained by primitive tools, ruins beneath the sea that shouldn't exist. Maps depicting coastlines as they were before the Ice Age, and the more we search, the more such traces appear. So the question arises, do we truly not know, or do we simply not want to know? Because if the truth about an ancient civilization comes to light, everything would have to be reevaluated: history, archaeology, religion, science. This isn't just about new facts. It's a new paradigm, and for many, that is too dangerous. So the truth stays buried, underwater, in the sand, in the dark, waiting for us to be ready to see it. From time to time, we encounter artifacts that don't fit our understanding of the technological capabilities of the past. They are too precise, too advanced, or simply incomprehensible. Mainstream science tries to explain them through primitive means or remains silent. But when such artifacts appear in great numbers across different parts of the world, they are no longer isolated anomalies. They form a pattern that suggests the existence of a civilization deep in the past with a level of knowledge that surpasses our assumptions. Let's start with the megaliths. Across the globe, we find massive stone blocks used in the construction of temples, platforms, and walls. Some weigh dozens or even hundreds of tons. In Baalbek, Lebanon, stones weighing over 1,000 tons have been found. Modern cranes would struggle to move them. How were they transported and placed with such precision thousands of years ago? How were the stones fitted so tightly that not even a knife blade can pass between them? In Peru, at Sacsayhuaman, we see walls made of polygonal stones that interlock perfectly without any mortar. Each stone has a complex shape, and they appear to be poured into one another. This isn't just a technical feat, it demonstrates knowledge of materials, geometry, and engineering. The Egyptian pyramids are another example. Their precise alignment with the cardinal directions, mathematical proportions, and internal chambers defy the idea of them being simple tombs. They point to knowledge far beyond what we attribute to the civilization of the 4th millennium BCE, and this is only the surface. In various cultures, we find stone surfaces with holes drilled with such precision that only modern equipment could replicate them. Rotational tool marks, straight channels, polished edges. In the Temple of Horus in Egypt, there is a depiction resembling an electric light bulb. The Baghdad battery, a clay jar with metal components, may have been used to generate electricity. Ancient Indian texts describe flying machines, Vimanas, with specific details, materials, shapes, modes of motion. The Mahabharata even describes weapons resembling nuclear bombs with blinding flashes, heat waves, and severe burns. Though it's an epic, the level of detail surprises even modern physicists. In Pumapunku, Bolivia, architectural blocks show incisions and shapes so precise that one wonders what tools could have made them. How were they carving andesitia volcanic rock harder than iron? These are not myths. These are real objects that can be seen, measured, and studied, but they are either explained away with far-fetched theories or ignored altogether. Because otherwise, we must admit, in the distant past, there was technology, knowledge, and science that don't fit our current model of linear progress. Perhaps this civilization used different energy principles, not coal and oil, but resonance, magnetic fields, crystalline structures. Maybe they didn't build microprocessors but developed another form of high-technology bioenergetic, wave-based, even consciousness-driven. We don't know, but the fact is, they left traces behind. And these traces suggest they knew more than we are willing to admit. For thousands of years, humanity preserved knowledge through oral tradition. Before the invention of writing, myths, legends, songs, and tales were the primary means of storing memory. Today, we often see them as fantasies, fairy tales, or cultural metaphors. But what if many of these stories are based on real events? What if myths are encrypted history? Take the story of the Great Flood. This narrative appears in nearly every culture, from the Sumerians and Babylonians to the Maya, from the Indians to Siberian tribes. Noah, Utnapishtim, Devaki, Manu, Atris, different names, same story. Water covering the earth, a vessel saving the chosen, gods or spirits offering warnings. This isn't coincidence. It's collective memory of a catastrophe that occurred in deep antiquity. Perhaps it refers to the end of the last ice age, when melting glaciers caused ocean levels to rise and submerged vast lands. The same goes for stories of gods who descended from the sky, taught humans crafts, astronomy, and moral law. In ancient Egypt, these were Osiris and Thoth. In Sumer, Enki. In South America, Quetzalcoatl. In India, the Devas. They always appear after a disaster, restore order, build cities, and share knowledge. Sometimes they're depicted as luminous beings, sometimes as giants, sometimes as visitors from the stars. These figures are so consistent across cultures that it's hard to write it off as coincidence. There are tales of times when the Earth was different, when there was no moon, or when the sun rose in the wrong direction. Myths of the sky changing, continents shifting, battles between heavenly fires. We might call it imagination, but some researchers believe these are descriptions of actual geocosmic events from prehistoric times. Dragons flying through the sky, celestial chariots, fiery arrows that incinerate cities, blades of light that cut through stone. We call these fantasies. Yet how often do modern technology lasers, rockets, flying machines resemble what is described in ancient texts? The story of Atlantis, described by Plato, is another example. It isn't just allegory. He gives specific locations, time frames, social structures, technologies, even materials. Plato doesn't claim it's a myth, he relays a story passed down from Egyptian priests. And although Atlantis hasn't been found, similar stories of vanished islands and sunken civilizations exist across the globe. If we begin to see myths not as inventions, but as fragments of memory passed through generations, a different picture of history emerges, one where humanity has already experienced rises and falls, where great civilizations have appeared and disappeared, where we are not the first, merely those who came after. Religions and ancient written texts are often viewed as realms of faith, moral guidance, and spiritual reflection. But if we look more closely, many of them contain references that could be interpreted as fragments of history about previous civilizations. Sometimes directly, sometimes in metaphor, they speak of events that don't fit into the conventional timeline of human development. The Bible, beyond the story of the Great Flood, includes tales of giants, the Nephilim, who were the sons of God and the daughters of men. These beings existed in pre-flood times and were described as possessing great power and knowledge. In the Book of Enoch, which is not included in the canonical Bible, these fallen angels teach humans metallurgy, plants, astronomy, and sorcery. It sounds like an account of contact with a more advanced being or civilization. Ancient Indian texts such as the Vedas, Upanishads, Mahabharata, and Ramayana contain not only philosophical ideas, but descriptions of weapons, flying machines, and astronomical knowledge. They mention cycles of time in which the universe is born, evolves, dies, and is reborn again. This cyclical concept of history is vastly different from the linear view we are accustomed to, and it implies that there were worlds and civilizations before us. Sumerian tablets describe the so-called king lists, stating that before the flood, kings ruled for thousands of years. They also speak of the Anunnaki beings from the heavens who came to Earth, created humans, and imparted knowledge. These are the oldest written records in human history, and they already reference technologies that don't align with their supposed era. Egyptian temple inscriptions hint at cycles of epochs or great years periods when gods ruled the earth, followed by demigods, and then by humans. This is echoed in Greek mythology: Golden Age, Silver, Bronze, and Heroic. Each ends in catastrophe and the beginning of a new phase. Chinese, Japanese, Mayan, and Aztec traditions all contain stories of great cleansings after which the world was remade. These might involve fire, water, earthquakes, or changes in the sky's appearance, and in each case, these events are tied to moral decay, divine wrath, or the end of a great cycle. Notably, many of these sources speak of lost knowledge, libraries burned or drowned, temples that held scrolls, tablets, codes, sages who tried to preserve knowledge before disaster struck. The story of the Library of Alexandria is only one example. There are mentions of a hall of records beneath the pyramids, of the golden books of the Incas, of crystalline archives waiting to be discovered. Religious texts are not only spiritual legacies, they are also repositories of information about events that happened, but that we are either unwilling or unable to decode. They hold traces of civilizations that came before us, and if we learn to read between the lines, we'll see these sources are telling us again and again, we are not the first. Official archaeology presents a fairly clear picture of human development, from primitive tribes to agriculture, then the first cities, states, and writing. But more and more discoveries are challenging this linear model. There are artifacts that don't fit the timeline, materials that couldn't have been processed with primitive tools, and structures that astonish even modern engineers. Let's start with Göbekli Tepe, prehistoric temple complex in Turkey over 11,000 years old. It was built long before writing, before the official start of civilization, and features intricately carved stone blocks, symbolic engravings, and astronomical alignment. Who built it and how remains a mystery. Its discovery has reshaped our understanding of the prehistoric era. Pyramids not just in Egypt, but also in China, Bosnia, and South America display levels of precision in orientation, geometry, and scale that are difficult to achieve even today. Some researchers claim that their foundations predate the pyramids themselves and may have been constructed long before any recognized civilization. Megalithic sites like Stonehenge, Baalbek, and Sacsayhuaman contain blocks weighing hundreds of tons that were cut, moved, and fitted with astonishing precision. In many cases, we don't know how this was physically possible. Even with today's machinery, it would be a major challenge. On the ocean floor, traces of submerged cities have been found. Dwarka off the coast of India, Yonaguni in Japan, geometric structures near Cuba, at depths of several hundred meters. If these are genuine ruins, they would have been built thousands of years before the first cities, according to official history. There are tools and artifacts that shouldn't exist, metallic spheres with perfect symmetry found in rock layers over 2 billion years old, human footprints alongside dinosaur tracks, stones engraved with images of telescopes, heart surgery, and flying machines. These finds are usually ignored or dismissed as coincidences. Then there are the so-called technological mysteries, ancient batteries, precision, drilled holes in hard stone, depictions of gears, even analog computers like the Antikythera mechanism. They appear seemingly out of nowhere, then vanish, leaving us with the question: do we truly understand the timeline of technological development? None of this necessarily proves the existence of advanced prehistoric civilizations, but it does indicate one thing for certain: history is far more complex than we've been taught. And if these anomalies exist, perhaps they are remnants of those who lived before us, evidence that we are not the beginning. We are the continuation. Human memory is not just the individual ability to recall personal events. There is also collective memory, a set of images, symbols, stories passed down from generation to generation, sometimes even without words. It lives in myths, songs, fairy tales, rituals, art, language, and dreams. It is like a code that carries echoes of something greater than ourselves. Carl Jung called this the collective unconscious, a deep layer of the psyche where archetypes dwell, shared across all human beings. But what if these archetypes are not just psychological figures, but echoes of real events that once took place in the distant past? What if the images of floods, giants, and lost lands are not fantasy, but dim memories of what humanity once experienced? In dreams, in meditative states, in altered consciousness, people often see scenes that have no logical explanation. They feel a longing for a lost world, for a home that doesn't exist on any map. These sensations may be traces of ancient memory deeper than any personal experience. Myths from all over the world often share the same structure: paradise, fall, catastrophe, rebirth, like an encrypted script passed onward. Why? Perhaps so we won't forget, perhaps to warn us, or perhaps so that one day we will remember. Subconsciously, we search for traces of something lost. Atlantis, Lemuria, Hyperborea, not just names from books, but symbols of forgotten memory. Humanity is like a child who has suffered trauma and cannot explain what happened, but remembers the pain, the images, the fragments. Why are we so drawn to the ancient, to forgotten knowledge, to legends of gods and heroes? Why do we feel that history runs deeper than the textbook says? Perhaps because within us is a voice that remembers. Not consciously, not in words, but emotionally, intuitively, through images. A voice that whispers to us, "You've seen this before. You've been here before. The story didn't start with you." This memory is not proof, but a clue. Not an artifact, but a key. It points to something beyond the official narrative. That our civilization is not an exception, but part of a long, complex, repeated journey of humanity. And perhaps the time will come when we remember it all. If we accept the idea that advanced civilizations existed before us, a logical question arises. Why did they vanish? What could have erased an entire world, its cities, culture, and knowledge from the face of the earth? And why are we left only with fragments, hints, symbols, and mysteries? One obvious theory is global catastrophe. There is evidence of powerful natural disasters in the distant past. Meteor impacts, massive volcanic eruptions, pole shifts, abrupt climate changes. Such an event could have destroyed infrastructure, disrupted social systems, caused famine, disease, and panic. Humanity might have lost its achievements and had to start over almost from scratch. A second theory is war. If a civilization had reached a high level of development, it may have possessed powerful weapons. Self-destruction through conflict, technological disaster, or losing control over its own creations is a very realistic scenario. Could an ancient civilization have perished the same way we now fear nuclear war? A third possibility is moral or spiritual collapse. Perhaps technological progress outpaced ethical growth. A civilization may have lost its inner harmony, its connection to nature, its sense of purpose. Collapse from within is the most invisible, yet no less destructive path to extinction. Another theory suggests external influence. Suppose that in the distant past, humanity had contact with other life forms, possibly from space. Such contact could have spurred development or triggered catastrophe. Could the gods of ancient myths be memories of such beings? Another possibility is cyclicality. Perhaps history is not a straight line, but a circle. Civilizations rise, reach a peak, and fall, repeating the pattern, like tides, like the breath of the planet. And we may be just another wave. Disappearance does not necessarily mean complete annihilation. Perhaps some knowledge, culture, or people survived, migrating to other regions, blending with new societies, transforming into myths. History might have been rewritten, not out of malice, but out of the necessity to survive. We don't have answers, but we do have many theories, and the most important of them is this: whatever happened to previous civilizations could one day happen to us. That's why it's vital not only to seek truth, but to learn from it, to avoid repeating mistakes, to understand that true progress means not just technology, but wisdom, responsibility, and balance. Because the memory of the past is also a chance for the future. The story we've just unfolded is not finished. It's not just about what happened long ago, it's about us, today. We stand on the edge of time, at the peak of technological progress, with unprecedented power in our hands. But along with that power comes the same vulnerability that may have once brought down those who came before us. We are witnessing climate change, rising tensions between nations, pandemics, and social upheavals. We are playing with artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, space technologies, and all of this demands not just intelligence, but responsibility. The world is becoming more complex, more fragile. At times, it feels like we're repeating an old script, just with new scenery. The collective intuition of humanity seems to be sending a signal. We've been here before, a sense of déjà vu, not just in personal life, but on a historical scale. When science outpaces moral growth, when the gap between knowledge and wisdom grows too wide, crisis follows, and that crisis can be either a cleansing or an ending. World myths do not merely warn of past disasters, they seem to say, "This has already happened. Now you must decide, are you a continuation or a repetition?" We live in a time where everything is possible, great ascension or great collapse. And the very awareness that we are not the first might be the key to ensuring we are not the last. This chapter is not about fear, it's about choice. The past does not doom us, it warns us. And if we listen to its voice, we may see not only ourselves in the mirror of history, but a path forward. A path that requires a new kind of human, not just intelligent, but wise. Not just powerful, but responsible. Not just progressive, but whole. Because repetition is not inevitable. It can be avoided. But to do that, we must remember and choose to act differently. The world we live in is full of mysteries. Some we've learned to explain, others we simply feel with our skin, our intuition, our hearts. One of the deepest of these mysteries is the question, who are we? And did we really begin our story from nothing? Civilizations are like waves. They emerge, rise, and disappear. But each one leaves something behind. And even if the physical traces have vanished, the information endures in myths, in symbols, in the subconscious. We are the carriers of memory not only of our own era, but also of those who came before us. Perhaps we are not the first civilization on this planet, but perhaps we are the first capable of realizing that fact. In that realization lies our responsibility and our opportunity. Because knowledge of the past is not just nostalgia or curiosity. It is a mirror in which we may glimpse the future. If we truly want to create a stable, harmonious world, we must learn, not only from ourselves, but from those who silently left us messages through time. In stone, in the stars, in legends, in our dreams. Perhaps our entire history is an attempt to remember, and when we remember enough, we will be able to move forward not as those trapped in a cycle of forgetting, but as those who take responsibility. As those who see themselves not as temporary inhabitants, but as caretakers, co-creators, guardians of the earth. We do not have all the answers, but we can ask the right questions, and that is already a beginning, because, in the end, what matters most is not who came before us, but who we will become after them. A glimpse into eternity is not an escape into the past. It is the ability to see ourselves as part of a great chain, a chain that does not have to be broken unless we allow it to be.